It's Anna Vaughn with Travel Mama Anna Vaughn, and today I'm going to talk to you about what did it cost and how do we buy a house in Mexico. A lot of people have been asking on my YouTube channel in the comments, how much did the house cost? What do they need to know to buy a house down here in Mexico? And today I'm going to tell you about our process, and then after give you a little bit of a house tour and tell you some of the costs of things and what we did. So if you like this video, like it, you can share it, and you can click the bell below and get notifications for the next time that I upload or we upload. So first I want to say that if you do have questions about what the cost is of a house, or you want to talk about money with anybody, the best way to do that is to contact them by email or by direct message. So many people have asked in the comments on YouTube what I paid for this house, and I have never really answered because it's rude. It's really rude to ask somebody what they paid for anything outright like that. That doesn't mean that I don't want to answer your question. I do want to answer it. I just think that maybe there is a different format, and it's a bit more complex than just like, what did I pay for this house? So that's why I'm making this video today, and hopefully it will answer all the questions that people have asked. If there's anything that I miss, please feel free to just email me or drop me a direct message on Instagram anytime, and I will hopefully be able to help you there. So first of all, I want to have a little bit of a disclaimer here that I do not condone in any way foreigners buying up land for their own personal gain in any foreign country just so that they can flip it or make a buck. I don't believe in white colonialism, and I think that we have to stop doing it. We have to stop treating the world like our own personal little playground. There are cause and effect in the world, and I think that we can see by these sort of bloated tourist destinations that like getting in and making a buck and getting out can really destroy local economies. And it's important that you think about why you're doing it, what your reasons are. A lot of people who do approach me and want to know like how they can be in the States or in Canada and buy a house in Mexico without coming to Mexico as solely an investment idea. I have nothing for you. I think if you're looking for an investment property, buy in your own country. That's where you're comfortable, and that's where that kind of stuff is okay. I think that we all need to take a step back and think about what the repercussions of that kind of thinking is having on the world. So if you're somebody that is looking to immigrate to Mexico, if you're looking to relocate your family or retire here but move to Mexico, then this video is definitely for you. And especially, I think, for Mexicans living in cities that would like to retire to or have a part-time home at the beach, then it's most definitely for you. So let's get started. So first of all, when we bought this house, we were looking for a place to live more full-time. I've been moving around with Luna, and we were looking for like, where was our forever home? We chose Puerto Escondido because I loved that there was a year-round tourism here, but that the tourism had somewhat of a cap. And so when I say that, I mean, people frequently write to me like, oh, Puerto Escondido is going to blow up and it's going to become, you know, Huatulco or like Cabo or whatever. And the short answer to that is like, of course it's not. First of all, you know, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, like these places have been designated by the government to become tourism hubs. They relocated the locals, they demolished them and rebuilt them as tourism hubs, okay? So that's what happened in Huatulco. Puerto Escondido is not a tourist hub. It is not set up in any way to be that kind of place. First of all, the layout is very awkward. It's like a line along the shore, and this carretera, which is like what they call in the States a freeway, you know, all the little bits of the town are connected through this freeway. So you basically have to go on a highway to get anywhere or walk the beach. And you can't even walk the beach the whole way. So it's very awkward layout. Also, it's a rough sea. So there's never going to be like elderly or overweight or like really wasted people swimming in the ocean. You can't swim in a bunch of the beaches here. And no cruise ships. Like there's no opportunity for really bloated like Puerto Vallarta style, tourism here. So that was attractive to me because I did want to live somewhere that was more authentically a Mexican town. But also, because I also do have this white colonialist thinking, I did want a place that I could either sell or rent out. I have always been really scared to tie myself to anything long term. I am a total commitment-phobe. When I got pregnant with Luna, I had a 40-liter bag to my name and no possessions, and I was happier than a pig in shit like that. I had chosen a life of living really simply without anything, and that's how I was going to go forth into the beautiful sunset. And then I got pregnant and things changed a lot. And in the last 3 years, I've realized that there is some bulking up that we need to do as a family, and that I did want to buy an asset for Luna to secure her future, but that I was scared I would be tied down to one town or one city or one state for the rest of my life. So what clinched it for me about Puerto Escondido is that there's more demand than there is supply for rentable places, which means there are more locals than there are foreigners here, which is great. That's why we live here, right? But because there's fewer foreigners, foreigners are more likely to rent out a home with an extra room they rent out, or build a home with the idea of hospitality as a business in mind. I don't think there's like a killing to be made here, but you can definitely have your bills taken down or your rent even paid for, and maybe make a small side income for yourself off a place here that you rent out, and it's rentable year round. So I'll give you an example story. I was here last year at Christmas, and I had friends living here for a year. They got a year lease on a place, on a 2-bedroom place in La Punta, which is like the main tourist area here. And they were paying 1,000 Canadian dollars a month on a 12-month lease. And I was shocked. That was a very high price, way higher than I had ever paid on a yearly rental anywhere in Mexico. And I asked why were they paying so much? And they actually told me that they got a great deal on that place, and that most places don't rent for the year here because they can make more money in a short period of time going on the main winter tourism season, renting out with higher turnover than they can on a yearly rate. So people don't want long-term renters here. So I was like, interesting. That means that we can always leave this house and rent it out. There is a market for this to be rented out year-round. Same reason I moved to Antigua initially is that there was a year-round tourism market for me to capitalize on if need be. The way that I've lived for years is that I keep my overhead really low. I've always had, rented out an extra room, gotten a 2-bedroom, rented the other room out, and then had my rent paid for, at least significantly reduced that way. And it's helped me to safeguard myself against the markets at home in Canada, where I run a business, and it can be like feast or famine. It's not, I can't bank on, I don't have a steady income because I'm self-employed. So this is a way that I've helped to like at least take my overhead down. So that clinched it as an opportunity for us to move here, to have a home, to create an asset, to live in a more Mexican place without having to be in one of these, I think Tulum's okay, but I went there with Luna and I couldn't even get huevos a la mexicana. And like, why the hell would I want to live in Mexico if I can't even eat Mexican food? I also like the proximity here to the city. And I mean, Oaxaca, it's a jewel in the crown of Mexican states for sure. This is an incredibly culturally rich state. And, it's close to Guatemala, and it's close to the city. And these are the things that I knew. These were the places I was familiar with. So that's what led us here. I bought this house for 2.2 million pesos, which is 130 grand US dollars. That's pretty much unheard of here. I have never seen any place with a pool, even if it's a total shit box, like one half-finished room. If it's got a pool, it's 3 million pesos. It starts at 3 million pesos the second you have a pool in. I'd never seen something for under. The original asking price here was 2.7. We settled on 2.2. And the only reason that I got that price for a 2-bedroom, 2 full bathroom bungalow with a massive pool is because it's old. It's really old, this house. The pool is 12 years old. So that means the roof is old, the cistern at the front is old, the electricity is old. The house is somewhere between 10 and 20 years old, depending on what part you're talking about. Here at the beach, that's like having a 100-year-old home. This place is never going to be flipped without a lot of work. And we bought this house with the idea of keeping this house at least until Luna is an adult. So now that I've said that, as a foreigner, you actually can't buy a house in Puerto Escondido. So the way that we bought this house is Luna was born in San Cristobal, Las Casas, Chiapas, Mexico. She is a Mexican-Canadian. She holds a passport for both Canada and Mexico. I have residency because of her, and I can get my citizenship, but I just haven't applied for it yet, which means that I can't own a home outright in Puerto Escondido, because in Mexico the rules are you cannot own a home within 50 kilometers of the water or 100 kilometers of the border to another country. So Luna owns this home. The way that I would have to do it if it wasn't for her is I would get a fideicomiso, and a fideicomiso is a trust with the bank, and technically the bank would own the home. Lots of foreigners do it that way because it's the only way to do it here. But they're hard to get, and then they're hard to get out of. So I know lots of people that have fideicomisos, and I know lots of people that have gotten out of their fideicomisos because they got citizenship. And all of them have said that it was a pain in the ass to get and a pain in the ass to get out of. So I wanted to avoid the fideicomiso. On this part of town, you can own land outright. On the other part of town where all the tourists are, you can't. It's owned in a different way. You don't get title land out there. I didn't want that either. Also, what a mess. It is such a mess in all these communities where foreigners come in and illegally buy land, and then they're not respected, and then you create this relationship where the locals don't respect you and people get robbed a lot, and it's just like, why? I didn't want to be part of that. I have a Mexican daughter and I'm immigrating to Mexico, and I am incredibly thankful for the opportunity to live here. So I wanted to own it. I wanted to have it be in a Mexican name, and I wanted it to be like a Mexican ownership. So Luna owns it. The drawback of Luna owning it is that I don't get to ever sell it. So I can go in front of a judge if she was really sick or we wanted a bigger house, but technically it's hers. And I gotta wait till she's 18 before I can do anything about buying it from her or whatever. And that's fine by me. It would only be in my will to her anyway. What's mine is hers. We're a 2-person family. Works for me that it's in her name. It's for her anyway. This is an asset that I am building for my daughter. So that's that. You have to buy a house outright here. There are loan systems, but they carry massive penalties. It's like 50% and stuff, 40% and 50%. So the way that I bought this house is I got a loan privately in Canada, which I pay, it's actually a line of credit, and I pay a very small amount on it monthly. So I actually got the money out of Canada in order to buy this house, plus I had savings. So that is the story of how we bought a house. If you want to come down here and buy a house, my suggestion is I'll give you the same advice I got, which is come here, live here for a year as a renter, and keep your eyes and ears open. Think about what you're actually looking for, and then manifest that into your future. I would also work with, there are local real estate agents and foreigner real estate agents. The foreigner ones all speak English, and they all cost more, and they're all gonna try and sell you a condo at Vivo. The local ones will look more for family homes. I was looking for a family home. This is the only house we called. I had a map I drew out of exactly what kind of floor layout I wanted, what kind of house I wanted. This is the only number I called. I went on gut instinct. It was almost exactly the layout I wanted, and I went for it. I felt like it was my home the second I stepped into it, and I don't regret it at all. I wouldn't do anything differently at all. Yeah, so that's our basic story. That's my 2 cents on the process. I think you can always look online if you want to see some basic pricing down here. I do think it's really important that you come and live in a place like this for a while first. You know, there's so many pros to living in a small town, and there's so many cons. You know, I'll give you a quick pro story. 2 days ago, the FedEx guy came here with a delivery from American Apparel for me, and he called me and said, nobody's home. And I have Airbnb renters here right now. They were here, but I guess they didn't open the door. And I said, well, I'm getting food on the Rinconada with my kid, which is around the corner here. And he said, well, where are you? I'll just drive over. And he just drove over and gave me the package while we were waiting for our takeout at the Pokeball place. That's such a beautiful pro of living in a small town. One of the cons is that the dating is abysmal, the nightlife is abysmal, and it's boring. It gets really boring really fast, you know? It's like long, slow days that don't go anywhere. You know, you need to be able to survive the boredom for sure. So I think as a big city girl who's traveled all over the world, this reincarnation as a small town suburban mom has been one of the wildest rides for me, and one of the craziest things I've ever done, and one of the hardest things, but also very rewarding. And I would never tell somebody to throw themselves into this life. You have to know that this is what you want first, and it's important to come to a place and get the vibe. And look around a bit. I mean, man, Mexico, like what? You can't go wrong here. I think this is such a great lateral move for Canadians. We have so much in common with Mexicans in terms of our mentality and our openness. Like, you know, Canadians and Mexicans don't care if you're gay. They don't care if you're trans. You know, they don't give a shit who smokes weed. It's very safe. It's really easy. It's safe. It's open-minded. It's liberal. There's great affordable healthcare and education here. You know, it's great. And then you get, as a Canadian, you get all this extra stuff. Like, it's way more culturally rich and diverse and old. It's like great history here that we don't have in Canada. You know, obviously the food, the climate, the music, the art. I mean, it just goes on and on how much Mexico has to offer. And I feel like this is like, in some ways, a lateral move for Canadians and also a massive step up. So, you know, if you have a young family, like, man, Mexico, there's no better place to live in the world if you have kids than Mexico. No place that I've been yet, you know? Mexicans really know how to, everybody works and everybody's got kids, and they really know how to balance both of those things here. And the invitation is, if you want to buy a home here, come and be here. Be part of this. I also think that this is a really good opportunity for people from the cities, Guadalajara, Mexico City, you know, wherever, to have a great little beach bungalow for themselves and, you know, rent it out when they're not here. I would love to see more Mexicans coming down here and taking advantage of this beautiful beach town instead of foreigners. Personally, that's how I feel. Anyway, if you like this video, like it, share it, give it a thumbs up, click the bell, and we're about to do a house tour, and I will give you prices along the way. If there's anything I leave out, feel free to contact me. Leave in the comments below. Thank you for joining me on explaining our house journey, how we bought a house in Mexico. Okay, here we go, house tour. Man, it's bright out. Let's start this tour off right at the front of the house, and I got this covered in here with wood. There's also like wood on the door. I got our sexy plaque, Casa las Brujas, and I'll give you a tour of the house that I bought in Mexico. Along the way, I'm gonna tell you some of the pricings of some things that we do here monthly, so what the actual cost is. I am not an expert on what the cost is for everybody else. This is just an idea of what is going on at my house in Puerto Escondido, Oaxaca, Mexico. So, I have no idea what all the plants cost because it's an ongoing job, but I have planted plants here, and I get this trimmed, and I have a gardener who comes twice a month. He cleans things, he plants things, and he's great. I also, as everyone knows, I had all the windows removed. There was glass window treatments. They were awful. Let's see if I can get a better view of that. Yeah. So now it's like a very breezy house. When I first moved here, it was not. I didn't have to paint anything white. It was all really well done. I did have, because when the window treatments were removed here, so there's glass window treatments and bars on all the interior windows, which I had removed, every last one of them. There was a lot of comments from Americans about how I was basically going to be like robbed and killed and whatever the second I took the bars off. I'm happy to say that never happened. This kitchen does not have anything done to it, and you can really tell. This stove was here. It only has 3 burners that work. I bought the fridge, and that's it. I bought this table. So the idea is one day we will reno the kitchen, but it won't be today or probably anytime in 2019. I had my friend Chepe come and paint a mural here. I got a really good price on it, and I'm not going to list it because we sort of worked out a deal where he would stay here for the week and also paint, and I'm very grateful for the fantastic deal he gave me on this lovely piece of art. The couch I also had made here, and I had the cushions made and upholstered, as well as the throw cushions that are there. Nothing has been done with this space yet, but I did have this put in, the camino, and I had that done. As far as back here, I mean, I think the garden looks 10,000 times better, especially with the hanging plants and everything. My pool maintenance is quite a bit. I would call him actually a friend at this point, Jorge, who comes by 3 times a week. He puts chlorine in it, he cleans it, and he also knows a lot about pools. So he also helps me with down here, you can see the bombas in there, so you know the jets and everything that keeps the water turning and going through the filtration system. I had the wall back here built. This is how I was able to take the bars off the windows. I sealed that in, and I sealed the front of the house. I also put this giant plant in, which was expensive but worth it. I didn't do anything else to the house back here at all other than that, and I also bought a washing machine. We don't have hot water here. You get like a shot of hot from the pipes that are sitting in the sun. What else did I do? What else did I do in here? I haven't done anything. There are 2 full bathrooms in this house and 2 bedrooms, and I didn't do anything to either bathroom or bedroom. The only thing I did replace were the ugly fans that were in here before, but all the existing fans are here. The bedrooms have built-in closets, which was a huge plus. The bathroom, they're not pretty, okay? That tiling, the brown tiles with the little tiles on top, it's not my favorite, but there's not one cracked tile in here, so they stay. There are built-in closets in both of the bedrooms. Luna's little bed there. These curtains were here when I moved in, the old owners. It's the curtains from the old owners, so stop following me around and whining. So those stayed. I just repurposed what I could, and that's it. That's all we did to the house, you know? Considering what we bought it for and what we put into it, I think it's in pretty good shape. When it rains really hard, the roof does leak a little bit in my bedroom and a little bit in the kitchen, but a very small bit. we could probably use a new cistern. I mean, this one, I mean, look at this eyesore out here. Like, that's our cistern. So the city gives us water, the water fills up there. I then manually, with a pump, fill up the tinaca that's on the rooftop. The tinaca on the rooftop gives us about 15 days of water if there's nobody here. And that out there will fill up the tinaca twice. So the city gives us water every 2 days. So that's always full. I also use it to water the plants and fill the pool. Like, I could have a bigger one for sure with like 30 days of water, but 15 days seems to be doing us fine. Okay, so that was my tour of my house. Now you've got some ideas about pricing. If you have any questions, please leave them below. If you have any questions more about buying a house in Mexico, you can leave those below too. I don't know as much as people think I know. I've bought one house in my lifetime, and it's this one here, and we're Mexican. So it is what it is. I will leave links for real estate agents below. And I can tell you that, you know, my best advice to you is to figure out what you want in advance. Move to the place that you're thinking about moving to or living in, get a feel for it. You know, the advice I was given when I came here was live there for a year first before you figure out what you want, and just be open to it. And it only took us 3 months, but I had a very clear vision of what I wanted, and we had a lot of sort of legal wiggle room since Luna is Mexican and we put it in her name. Anyway, that is our house journey. If you like this video, like it. If you want to share it, that would be great. And you can click the little bell and get notified next time we upload. Adios, baby. And adios from whiny old Spooky, too. Say adios, Spooky. Meow.